All right, this is the first question from the audience. What will you do to help bring or create quality low-income housing to Okeechobee County? And we're starting with Mr. Burrows.
That's a good question. I'm not going to stumble on this one because I really don't know that much about low-income housing. So rather than me try to answer something I'm not sure of, I would prefer to take this offline and come back, and whoever wrote that question, I would answer it for them privately. Thank you.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to follow Mr. Burrows' footsteps. I don't know much about it. There's many great private organizations that handle this sort of thing, and I would hope that they would be heavily involved in the decision making. But I would really need to talk to them before I can tell you anything definitely. Thanks.
I kind of agree with him. What is low-income housing? Hell, everybody right now is low-income. So, and every house you go out on the market 3 years ago was worth $500,000. Now it's worth $200,000. So, what we've always done in the past, of course, is go after grant dollars and use it for low-income housing. But I know that's getting hard to get to in Tallahassee. I think we need to. There's come a time that we need to look at hiring a grant writer that will work not only the state government but the federal government. I went through this about 8 or 10 years ago with DeSoto County, and they hired a grant writer, a lady, and she got them $21 million that first year. And I think that's what we need to look at. If I'm elected, that's one of the things that I'm going to push for. But the low-income housing, like I say, it's just grant dollars that you go out there and try to get. Thank you.
Can everyone see me? Can you hear me? Low-income housing is created by low-income citizens, which do definitely need it. Sister Eleanor has a program that she enacts through grants. We have to do grant money to low-income housing, but she does a great job with this. And all we can do is depend on grant money. Thank you.
I'd like to correct something if I could over the last session, because I heard so many gaps, I thought I was going to get sucked off the stage there for a minute. I confused, it was my fault, I confused two issues. Please understand that when we're trying to answer very complex questions and to try to compress that into 2 minutes is more than difficult. If you try it, you'll understand our plight up here. I'm not taking away anybody's homestead exemption, so you can sit down and relax. And I'm not taking away anybody's agricultural exemption. It's there, it will stay there. What I was addressing was in the future, it's something we need to look at to make sure we don't continue down that path and continue an unfair taxing system. Now, the low-income housing by its very nature can be problematic. We've seen it in other counties, especially along the coast, because the very nature of it is people who have low incomes. What happens, they don't have the money sometimes to be able to maintain that housing in a condition that keeps its value up. So what the taxpayer ends up doing is continue to pour money into it and rebuilding it because of the fact that the people are there are in fact, and many times indigent or don't have the ability to do that for themselves. So I'm in favor if there's grants to do that, but not taking taxpayers' dollars, because what's going to happen if we continue to keep taxing the rest of us, we're all going to be looking for low-income housing. Thank you.
Well, I guess I might be one of the few that has a lot of experience with it. I served on the Affordable Housing Board for Okeechobee County for 6 years and the chairman of the last 2 years before I was appointed to the county commission. Affordable housing really became popular 4 or 5 years ago when we started to run up in the property valuations. And affordable housing was what it was called, but it actually turned into workforce housing. Because of the escalation in property values, we were actually pricing out, not just here in Okeechobee, but in many communities around, we were pricing those that were in your workforce completely out of the market. If you had school teachers, people that were in the $40,000, $50,000 annual income range, they couldn't afford it. The grant monies that were mentioned by several people have been eliminated. There used to be a program called the SHIP Housing Program, and we actually had a coordinator, and we had a grant writer that named Deborah Belcher. She still works for the county. Gene, you know what I'm talking about. And she did bring in several projects, several grants for us, and we were able to help quite a few people. As a matter of fact, the project that's going on in the city limits, and right over by Domer's Machine Shop right now, that was part of a grant that was produced by Deborah Belcher. And we're going to have, I believe there's 14 units over there when we're done with it. And they really are nice. If you get a chance, stop over there and look at that. Again, the need for it has declined somewhat because, again, the grant dollars are gone. But also as the valuations have fallen, it's become more affordable for those people that we were really desperate to help 4 or 5 years ago to keep our workforce here. It's started to become a little bit more affordable that those people can now actually obtain housing without the state help, which is what you want to start with. Thanks.